Byzantine Caesaropapism was a unique political religious system in which the emperor held both supreme secular and ecclesiastical authority. This fusion of power distinguished the Byzantine Empire from the political structures of the West, where papal authority remained independent of secular rulers. The term Caesaropapism itself derives from the combination of Caesar, representing imperial power, and Papa, signifying religious authority. The Byzantine emperors saw themselves as God's representatives on earth, responsible for both governance and religious orthodoxy. This concept shaped Byzantine political, religious, and cultural history for over a millennium. Origins of Caesaropapism in the Byzantine Empire. The roots of Caesaropapism in Byzantium can be traced to the reign of Emperor Constantine the Great, r. 306 to 337. Constantine, who legalized Christianity with the Edict of Milan in 313, played a crucial role in shaping the relationship between the church and the state. His involvement in church affairs, including the convocation of the First Council of Nicaea in 325, established a precedent for imperial intervention in theological disputes. Constantine and his successors perceived themselves as divinely appointed rulers, with the responsibility to safeguard Christian doctrine. The notion that the emperor was God's vicegerent on earth became deeply ingrained in Byzantine ideology. This was reinforced by the tradition of imperial coronation within a church, typically performed by the Patriarch of Constantinople, symbolizing the fusion of spiritual and temporal authority. Institutionalization of Caesaropapism. Caesaropapism in Byzantium was institutionalized through various legal and administrative mechanisms. The emperor wielded significant influence over the church, appointing patriarchs, presiding over ecumenical councils, and even determining theological doctrine at times. The concept of symphonia, the idealized harmony between church and state, was developed to justify this arrangement. The emperor was regarded as the defender of the faith and had the duty to protect and enforce orthodoxy. One of the most significant examples of imperial religious authority was Emperor Justinian I, r. 527 to 565. His codification of Roman law, the Corpus Juris Civilis, reinforced the notion that the emperor was the supreme authority in both secular and religious matters. Justinian actively intervened in church disputes, deposing and appointing patriarchs and enforcing doctrinal positions such as Chalcedonian Christianity. Imperial control over the Patriarchate. The Patriarch of Constantinople, the leading bishop of the Eastern Church, was often subordinate to the emperor. Unlike the Pope in Rome, who maintained an independent position, the Patriarch was typically appointed by the emperor and could be removed at will. This control over the Patriarchate ensured that the Church remained an extension of the imperial government. Several Byzantine emperors exercised their religious authority through direct interventions. For example, Emperor Leo III, r. 717 to 741, and his son Constantine V, r. 741 to 775, initiated the iconoclast controversy, which sought to ban religious images. Despite opposition from monastic communities and segments of the clergy, the emperors dictated church policy on the matter. The eventual restoration of icon veneration under Empress Theodora in 843 highlighted the significant role imperial power played in shaping religious doctrine. Conflicts and challenges to Caesaropism. While Caesaropapism allowed emperors to maintain control over the church, it also led to significant conflicts. One of the most notable challenges to imperial religious authority occurred during the Photian Schism, 9th century, when Emperor Michael III appointed Photius as Patriarch of Constantinople without papal approval. This controversy highlighted the growing divide between the Eastern and Western churches and foreshadowed the Great Schism of 1054. Another challenge came from the monastic community, particularly the Hesychast movement in the 14th century, which resisted state interference in theological matters. The rise of independent monastic centers, such as Mount Athos, reflected an alternative religious authority that sometimes clashed with imperial control. The Great Schism of 1054 and its impact on Caesaropapism. The Great Schism between the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church in 1054 was a defining moment in Byzantine religious history. The papacy in Rome rejected the idea of an emperor having supreme authority over religious affairs, advocating for the Pope as the universal head of Christendom. The schism solidified the distinct nature of Byzantine Caesaropapism, as the Eastern Church remained closely tied to the imperial government, while the Western Church developed a more independent structure. Decline of Caesaropapism and the fall of Byzantium. The decline of Byzantine Caesaropapism coincided with the weakening of imperial power. The Fourth Crusade, 1204, and the establishment of the Latin Empire in Constantinople significantly undermined the Byzantine emperor's religious authority. When the Byzantines reclaimed the city in 1261, under the Palaiologos dynasty, imperial power was already diminished. During the final centuries of the Byzantine Empire, the emperors sought unity with the Catholic Church in an attempt to secure military aid against the advancing Ottoman Empire. The Council of Florence, 1439, saw Byzantine Emperor John VIII Palaiologos agree to a short-lived union with Rome, which was widely rejected by the Byzantine clergy and populace. By the time Constantinople fell to the Ottomans in 1453, the emperor's religious authority had been significantly eroded. Legacy of Byzantine Caesaropapism. Despite the fall of Byzantium, the legacy of Caesaropapism persisted in Eastern Orthodox political and religious traditions. The Russian czars adopted the concept of the emperor as both political and religious leader, culminating in the doctrine of Moscow as the Third Rome. The close relationship between the Russian Orthodox Church and the czars mirrored the Byzantine model, reinforcing the idea that the ruler was divinely appointed to guide both the state and the church. Even today, echoes of Caesaropapism can be seen in various Eastern Orthodox countries, where political leaders maintain close ties with the church. The Byzantine model influenced later debates on church-state relations, particularly in the context of national churches and the role of religious leaders in political affairs. Byzantine Caesaropapism was a defining characteristic of the Eastern Roman Empire, shaping its political and religious landscape for over a millennium. The emperor's dual role as secular and religious leader allowed for a centralized and cohesive state, but also led to tensions and conflicts within the church. While the system eventually declined with the fall of Constantinople, its influence persisted in Eastern Orthodox traditions and continues to inform church-state relations in various parts of the world. The Byzantine experience of Caesaropapism remains a fascinating example of how religious and political authority can be intertwined, offering insights into the broader dynamics of power and faith in history.